In life you get three types of people. People that make things happen, people that look what is happening, and people that wonder what happened. Now I like to associate myself with those who make things happen. And that's why I'm standing in front of Voetspore with Pieter, a battery expert from Oppositelock, and we're gonna go and do an experiment. Hello Pieter.
G'day, how are you?
Fine, thanks, and you?
Good, welcome.
Thank you very much. We're still under lockdown, so we still have some masks and elbow greetings. So that is all because of the COVID-19 situation. Let's go inside and go and have a look. Right, so what we're going to do is, one of the prominent overlanders on YouTube has done a video where he charges the main battery, the crank battery, with a AC charger, and the dual battery system then kicks in, drains the main battery in charging the auxiliary battery. Now I'm going to give it over to Pieter, the expert on batteries, to explain to us exactly how the system works, and after that we're going to do the experiment to see whether the result is the same as what our colleague experienced. Pieter, I don't know.
Yeah.
Pieter, it's yours.
So a dual battery system is supposed to charge and look after only your auxiliary battery, meaning the battery in the back of the vehicle or the secondary battery in the front of the vehicle that runs your auxiliaries like your fridge, camping lights and those kind of things. So draining your starter battery through your dual battery system or your DC to DC charger is kind of unheard of. It's not supposed to happen. We can put the theory to test, and we will. So your dual battery system works from your starter battery or your cranking battery of the vehicle, but only when your starter battery gets power, either sourced from your alternator when the vehicle is running, or from an external charge of an AC charger. As soon as that power is taken away, like the vehicle's being switched off or the charger being switched off, your DC to DC charger or dual battery system should switch off automatically and cut off the power from your starter battery completely. So that's what we're going to test today and make sure that that actually happens.
Pieter, if I can just interrupt you there for a moment, would you just explain to the viewers why a person would have multiple batteries in a vehicle?
Yeah, sure. So your secondary battery or your dual battery system, why you would need a system like that is if you have a secondary battery in your vehicle to run your fridge or to run your camping lights. You don't want those accessories to drain your starter battery of the vehicle. So if you have your fridge running overnight at your campsite, tomorrow morning you want to get in the vehicle and start your vehicle. That's what a cranking battery is for. So you don't want to use your cranking battery to run your fridge or to run your camping lights. So that's why the secondary battery in the vehicle is a necessity. If you have a secondary battery, that fridge or camping lights that runs throughout the night, or even for some instances 4 days in a row where you don't start your vehicle, the fridge will run off your auxiliary battery, not your starter battery, draining your auxiliary battery. And then when you get into the vehicle, you will still be able to crank your vehicle, get your vehicle running, and go to your next destination. So your secondary battery is completely apart from your starter battery.
That helps a lot. Thank you very much. Now, at the moment, the multi-charger or the DC to DC charger is asleep. Is that correct?
That is 100% correct. We don't have any power coming from an AC charge or the alternator charge into your auxiliary battery, or sorry, into your starter battery, as the vehicle is not running. So this is completely asleep, saving as much power for the battery to run the fridge or to run the camping lights. The fridge in the back of the vehicle is currently on freezing temperature, so that battery is consuming power from the fridge and some lights in the canopy as well. So this is not on at all and not drawing any power from the starter battery.
Okay, very interesting. Tell me something, why would a person use a DC to DC charger instead of the old-fashioned solenoid type that just pulls in and charges the batteries in parallel?
So exactly what you mentioned, the parallel charge. So you have a couple of golden rules coming when you get to parallel charging. The first being, if you want to charge batteries in parallel, you want them to be exactly the same type of batteries. So your cranking battery of the vehicle is normally a high power battery that can deliver a lot of power over a very short period, like cranking the vehicle. So where your secondary battery is a deep cycle battery that's meant to deliver a little bit of power over a longer period of time. And that all is, the components inside the battery is different, meaning that this one cranks, that one doesn't. So already if you have a solenoid system that connects your batteries in parallel, that's the first rule you're already breaking when you have a deep cycle battery connecting in parallel with a cranking battery. The second rule is your batteries needs to be the same size. So if you have an 80 amp hour battery in the front and a 200 amp hour battery in the back, and you connect them in parallel, you're just equalizing the two battery banks out. So all your batteries become the same size, and that would be the size of the smaller battery. So all three of your batteries are going to be an 80 amp hour battery when you connect them and charge them in parallel. The third rule would be your batteries needs to have the same level of discharge. As soon as you crank the vehicle, you drain your starter battery to about 40% of its capacity, and your auxiliary battery is about 80% of capacity. So now you connect them in parallel with a parallel charging system or a solenoid charging system, and the batteries are not level in discharge. So the batteries have to fight one another to become at an equal state of discharge. With your DC to DC system, you never connect those batteries in parallel. Your batteries are completely separate all of the time. The DC to DC charger only uses your starter battery to take power and in return charge your auxiliary battery. It would work exactly the same principle as charging a battery with an AC charger. You get a power from your AC source charging a battery. This works just with a different source. You get your power from a DC source to charge a battery. It's got the same steps, charging your battery to maximum capacity, looking after your battery, making sure that battery is at optimal charge, and not worrying about this battery at all.
So what you're actually saying is that a car's alternator is not designed to charge a deep cycle battery, and that you need some intelligence in between in order to make the charging power acceptable for the deep cycle battery.
That is 100% correct. So your charging rate of a cranking battery is at about 13.8 to 14.4 volts. Where a deep cycle battery or an AGM battery or a gel battery, what is most commonly used for auxiliary batteries, has a much higher voltage requirement for getting charge into the battery and charging that battery perfectly. The alternator of a vehicle charges at that 13.8 to 14.4 volts. So it's designed to charge a high cranking battery that has much thinner plates that can accept that kind of charge. Where with your auxiliary battery, your deep cycle, gel or AGM battery is designed to take a much higher voltage of charge, where that your alternator just doesn't produce. but your DC to DC system and the Intervolt especially, you set it to your desired battery, being an AGM, gel or deep cycle, and it charges that auxiliary battery at its optimal voltage.
100%. Now let's do the experiment that we came here for, to see whether your DC to DC system will drain the battery and charge the back one and prevent us from starting the vehicle again.
100%.
Let's try it.
Okay, so the experiment that we want to portray and what we want to do, and what my theory of this is, this Intervolt DC to DC charger is a 25 amp charger, meaning that it will charge 25 amps from this battery into the auxiliary battery whenever there is enough power coming into the starter battery. We have here a Noco Genius 7.2 amp AC to DC charger that we will connect to this battery, and then it will only allow 7.2 to, let's say, about 7.5 amps charge through to the auxiliary battery, because you cannot make power from nothing. You need power going into this battery, and only that will go through to the auxiliary battery. Your alternator can produce up to 80 amps. Then an alternator running, the DC to DC charger would take 25 amp and push it into the auxiliary battery. But with a 7.2 amp input like we have here, you will have a 7.2 to a 7.5 amp output into the auxiliary battery. Let's put it to the test. So in a few seconds the charger will realize that there's power going into the battery. So let's just set this up. There it goes. So in a few seconds this charger will realize that there's power coming into the battery, like an alternator charge or an AC charge in this case. It will switch on and start charging the auxiliary battery. So you'll have a bright blue glowing ring here indicating that the charge is active from this battery. So now you'll see that the blue ring means it's into a boost charge, pushing as much as it can into the auxiliary battery. And you will see on the monitor of the unit that it will not produce more than what this unit can actually give you.
100%. Okay, so in other words, that this unit is now only using the power that's available to it without dropping this battery below the crank voltage. Is that correct?
That's 100%.
100%. Okay.
So as I mentioned, you cannot make power from nothing.
From nothing.
So whatever power goes into this battery, this charger is smart enough to realize to take only what is available, and it will
100%.
never take more than what you give the charger. So when your alternator runs, that's an 80 amp charger, it will take 25 amps. When you have a lesser input, like in this case is a 7.2 amp charger, you will only have 7.2 amps charging through to your auxiliary battery.
Excellent. Okay, I think what we do is we leave it on for a little while.
Yeah.
And for the record, I just want to say that none of this belongs to me, and it's not sponsored, and I don't get any money for this. Oppositelock offered their vehicle for the experiment, and Voetspore offered their workshop for the experiment. So this is exclusively done for the viewer. And thank you very much to Peter and Trevor, is it?
Yes.
That gives the facility for us to use. I think what I'm going to do now, while this is charging, is I'm going to do some shopping. You're welcome to join me.
Thank you.
Right, now where do we start?
So after about 2 hours of charging the battery on an AC charge, we found that the DC to DC charger never let through more power than what our AC charger was given. So it always remained on a 7.1 amp going through to the auxiliary battery, up to such a point that the auxiliary battery reached 80% of charge and the charger went over to a flow charge, which reduced the amps even more. So that kind of disproves the theory that this charger will drain the starter battery if the DC to DC charger is bigger than what your AC current can deliver to this battery. So the Intervolt Smart Charger only takes power what is given to the starter battery up to about 25 amps. So we've disconnected the AC charger now. We have this multimeter on the battery. It's still above 12.4 volts, meaning we will still be able to start this vehicle without any issues. So let's give it a crank.
We give it a crank. Before you do that, say the viewer wants to buy this. You guys have got a website with prices that the people can navigate to, and I'm going to put the link to your website in the description below, so that should people want any of the products that they see here today, they're welcome to contact you.
Yes.
And then they can get it off your website. You've got an online system. They can order it from there, and you will refer them to a fitment center for
That
fitment.
is 100% correct. We have fitment centers across the country, into Namibia, into Botswana, that does all our fitment. And it doesn't stop with only dual battery systems. We do bull bars, spotlights, suspension, roof consoles, any four-wheel drive accessory needed for your vehicle, we can provide. So the website enables you to buy online and to do a rent-to-buy option where you can pay in installments, pay for your products. So you don't have to pay immediate 70 grand for a complete vehicle upgrade, four-wheel drive accessories. Everything on credit and available online.
Peter, buy a donkey.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Enjoy.
Let's start this vehicle.
Let's start it.
Get it
yeah.
right.
I just want to take this moment and say thank you to Voetspore and Oppositelock for the organization and the facility that I could use. Guys, thank you very much, and we'll speak again.
Pleasure, Hendrik.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sweet.
Thank you very much. Till next time, goodbye.